Okay, so this isn't the video that I wanted to make, but here it is. So you're probably wondering, why is this a video for the entire season when you do episode by episode recaps of this show? Well, here's the thing. I literally just got done watching the finale of this season, and I've come to realize that I totally got a bad read on this cast, because if I was to upload all of the episode by episode recaps from the merge onward, you would find that they just degenerate into a mess where I'm like, okay, what the heck is this person going to do? I can't put my finger on them. Oh yeah, you've got no chance. Or, okay, on a precipice, something really needs to happen. What's up with this up and down edit? They're a mess, alright? So, I don't want to do this, but you're just gonna get one video for this season. Now, I want to make one thing clear, though. That does not mean that I did not enjoy this season. From episode 1 onward, I had loads more faith in this cast than I did for Ghost Island. And I was super confused in that first episode as to who is who. Oh, Piper. Family dog. But anyway, yeah, even from the first episode, I had way more faith in this cast on both tribes. And even though technically you would probably think that I was supporting the Goliath tribe from the get-go, which I kinda was, I just kinda wanted that whole battle idea just to be over with. Because I was like, this is totally not going to be a thing for the entire season, David versus Goliath. In fact, I did everything I could to avoid using that term in the episode-by-episode recaps, because I'm like, this is an excellent group of players. Let's just look at them for what they are. And they did well. The edit was surprising in that there were a couple of people who you would expect to be around for a while. They left pretty early. Natalia, Jeremy. We had interesting characters in Christian, Natalie, not for the best reasons on her part. John was kind of interesting, though his charisma didn't show, given his edit and his exit. You had Davey, who was a big super fan, though not the best edit. You had Nick, who was nowhere for a while, but turned into something. You had Angelina, who was a train wreck, though a lot of people, I think, will look at her and go, you know, she's not, oh my god, bad, but not too good at this game. And then you had other people that had some potential, but their edits just made it clear to you that they probably wouldn't have that much going on. And then you had Allison, who had an excellent, well, not excellent, but reasonably interesting fight to stay alive, but it was just downplayed because of everything that was going on. Now, I want to make it clear to you, okay? This is not the case of Game Changers where you had excellent people with excellent gameplay. It was just the edit did a piss-poor job of showing it. No. We had excellent people with fairly excellent gameplay, but the edit couldn't show enough of it. Because the level of gameplay and ability of this cast that we had here was like most of the Big Brother seasons, because almost everyone in here had a chance to win, and almost everyone that didn't actually mattered a good darn bit. This season's cast, they were here to play. And Jeff brought up an interesting point that I didn't know this, but there were 10 individual immunity challenges. There was only one person that won more than one. Yeah, it was that diverse. And, best of all, the fire-making thing, that didn't alter the course of the season, and I would not be too surprised at all that had this been a normal vote-out, we would have gotten the same result anyway. Maybe not in a fire-making tiebreaker, but I think that the same person would have joined the jury anyway. So, finally we have a situation where the fire-making bit didn't matter. I could be wrong, but, Yeah. So, this was an excellent season and an excellent cast, but unfortunately, that edit just could not show enough of it. And that's really unfortunate because had this edit been better, I think I would have liked Nick more than I did because when the merge happened, I was like, okay, he's gotten a few confessionals, but I don't see that much hope for this guy. And then he executes, or helps executes, a decent amount of stuff in there, and he had been talking to like Christian, Davey, a little bit Mike, so he had his roots in there, and during his final tribal speech, he reminded me of that moment that he had in episode 1 where he opened up about his family's, I think it was drug problems, and I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. So, it's not so much a bad edit because technically everybody got a little bit of a problem, at least in the merge, if you ask me. They just couldn't do enough. This season, unfortunately, in many ways felt a little bit rushed. Oh, what I saw was excellent, but we're in a situation where, like with Philippines, I don't like this season as much as the crowd does, but I don't dislike this season, unlike when I was watching Philippines. And as I've said before, if I was to rewatch Philippines, I'm certain that I would like it a lot better. It's the same situation with when I watched Fiji last and when I watched HVV. I liked them a lot better the second time around, albeit that's because the gameplay that we saw in HVV has now become normal. So we're like, what were we complaining about? We've seen this 1,000 times by now. And if you've watched Big Brother, it should be even easier for you to make that comparison. I wasn't watching Big Brother when HVV started. I started watching Big Brother, ironically, when Philippines started. That's funny. Okay. Oh yeah, the idol nullifier. That's an excellent idea. And I really like how Jeff, over the course of the season, specified certain conditions as to how the thing can be played, because had Dan not played his second idol for Angelina! Why do I keep saying Angela or Andrea when I'm about to say her name? Hello, I heard of Angelina Jolie before I saw any contestant on this show named Angela or Andrea. What up with that? But anyway, had he not played that idol for Angelina and he still had both, the idol nullifier would have only nullified the idol that he gave to Jeff. He could have easily reached into his bag and gone, oh, how about this one? And Jeff would have gone, that's fine. And if he had played any idol for someone else, that idol would have counted. So the idol only affects one idol for the person whose name is written on it, regardless if they play for themselves or someone else gives it to them. So yeah, this is an excellent idea, but I would kind of hope that there's only one nullifier per season, because I don't know why, but just having one nullifier per tribe, like, you're gonna give that much ability to negate the advantages that are already in there? Now, one could argue that makes it more fair, but I don't know. We'll see, though. Well, you've seen, I'll see. Right. What else to mention here? Okay, well, I'll bring up Kara real fast. I was originally thinking that there wasn't that much to her, and I think I was sort of proven right, but at the same time, I can't help but feel like if this season had been double the length than it was, I would have been more impressed with her, especially given her exit, which she took really dignifyingly, and then she voted for Mike, who they had a little bit of closeness there, but again, the edit kind of downplayed that. And then Mike versus Nick at the end, because I knew it was going to come down to them. I was kind of more in favor of Mike, but as I'm listening to the jury speech and people pointing out problems with Mike, positives about Nick. Nick and Mike admitting strengths and weaknesses of their own. I'm like, this is a totally honest discussion here. There's no bad blood going on here, because, like, even though Nick was trying to defend himself against either Dan or Alec, because, like, I swear, whichever one of them that was supposed to be, it was kind of like they spray tanned themselves. I'm not trying to joke about it. It just legitimately looked like that, given the lighting of Tribal Council. But even though they voted against him, I think the attitude was, this isn't a vote against you, Mike. This is a vote for Nick. I think really the only true vote that I think was honestly against another contestant was Allison's vote. Because, yeah, totally, Mike, you did really go against her over the top. And I was like, after I heard that speech, I totally expected everyone to turn and vote him out at that tribal. But then Kara makes that speech of, I just don't want Angelina to play an idol correctly. I want that satisfaction gone. But I was like, why would you say that if you're voting out Mike? Because you were told to vote for Allison. That only makes sense if you're voting out... I mean, well, no. You were told to vote for Angelina with the target being Allison. So you saying that would only make sense if you're voting for Allison. Yeah, sure enough, that's what she did. Right. Whew. I do find it a little interesting that Davey ended up changing his mind and saying, whoever orchestrated this, you've earned my vote, but I guess he realized it's way too simple. Sort of like how I think Jerry, when she was voted out of HVV, she was saying, oh, I'm gonna vote for Russell, screw you, girl. She didn't say that, but an hour later she was like, I think I said that way too fast. I'm gonna hear what they honestly have to say. So yeah, this was a totally honest vote. I wish I felt more glad for Nick than I do, but I'm okay with it. He had to work hard. The season had a unique vibe to it. I don't like it as much as everyone else does, because even though I think the cast in a few ways was weaker in a San Juan del Sur, I personally enjoyed San Juan del Sur more than this. But on a critique basis, I would say that this season definitely had more to offer. It was just they couldn't show everything properly in that edit, which is unfortunate. Now, I'm not saying, like with Worlds Apart, you should have taken that cast and put it in the Big Brother house. No. We needed more episodes, period. Because, like, you notice how, as the season went along, even though I wasn't watching these, they shortened the previously on bits. Like, usually in a finale, you have a 4 to 8 minute recap detailing everything that happened up till then. Although recently they shortened the actual recap and took a few minutes to focus on the remaining contestants. They didn't do any of that. Also, when the jury is walking in, almost all of the times in this finale, they just skipped that. Sure, we don't need to be reminded exactly who is who, but it just goes to show that they're trying to chip away as much fluff as they can to squeeze in more airtime. And like the reunion, I really do hate to say this, but in many ways it's turning into a joke now, unfortunately, because they accomplished good things in the amount of time that they had for this season and last season, but they just... it shows that they don't really care about it anymore. And as I mentioned in the episode-by-episode recaps, you're paying people 10 grand, which is not before taxes, to fly across the country or drive a good amount, even though a good amount of people that they recruit are from California, and show up at that reunion and then they don't talk. So you have to add in the added expenses of travel, buying clothes, potentially buying tickets for all the family members unless they provide all that. I've never gotten a concrete answer on that area, so just, it's, in many ways, it's kind of useless. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't do it, because there's the expectation that if you're on the show, at the absolute minimum, you're going to end up with all the expenses you would have gotten from your job while you were gone. You either get a good vacation someplace if you're in the pre-jury bit, or you're going to be hanging out in Fiji for 39 days if you make jury phase onward, and then at the absolute minimum, you earn $12,500 on the show before taxes, which probably turns out to be, I don't know, $9,000 after taxes. Could be wrong, but just, in many ways, it seems like a waste. It just goes to show that they don't care too much about these people anymore, or not to say, or the absolute minimum that they want to care, but they're more interested in the bigger dynamics. Like, as I've said before, eliminating the rites of passage is a huge slap in the face to all those contestants that were voted out previously. It's dumb. Yeah. So I know that this was a little more complaining, but I want you to understand. I like the season, just not as much as the crowd. It's literally that simple. I had more faith in this than last season from day one, and I could sense it, but I just cannot get over how restricted that edit was. Because this could have been so much better, and several people got way more than I did, and it's unfortunate that I'm not at that point. Yeah. Oh, and one funny thing about next season. I was able to recognize Joe and Kelly Wentworth really fast, but David, I couldn't figure out who he was! Because I'm like, what, is that Russell? No. Russell's got more upper body muscle. Who the heck is that short, that thin? I don't know, maybe someone from Millennials vs. Gen X, because they're doing a lot of people from around season 30? Even then, I still couldn't figure it out. That is sad. But I'm glad that guy's getting another chance, because of course he definitely deserved another chance, and here's to hoping that I like Joe as well as a lot of other people do for once. Yeah, I really want to like him better, and Aubrey, let's hope that you get a better edit. Wentworth is fine, let's just see how far she gets.